Hello, listeners. Welcome to Capital H. Capital H is a Deloitte podcast focused on the human side of business. We bring together leaders and thinkers from around the world, from all types of organizations, all passionately focused on questions centered on a premise that, while it might sound simple, is a fundamental challenge of our time. How can we make humans better at work and work better for humans? My name is David Mallon. I'm a managing director in Deloitte's human capital consulting practice, and I'm chief analyst of our Insights to Action Research and Sensing team. And since 2018, I've had the privilege of being one of the hosts for Capital H. For those of you that are regular Capital H listeners, welcome back. We are so appreciative that you spend some of your time with us. For those of you that are just getting to know us, of course, we're thrilled to have you here as well. And either way, I have some exciting news to share about the future of the podcast. We're reimagining Capital H. Before starting this next season, our 10th, we took a look back at the previous 9 and the over 80 episodes we've shared with you along the way. And you know what? We realized it was time to switch things up. And so here is the first bit of exciting news. I'd like to introduce you to my all-new co-host, Kyle Forrest. Kyle, say hello to our friends.
Thanks, David. And hello, Capital H listeners. I am thrilled to be joining David as one of the podcast co-hosts and want to share a little bit about me personally so you know who I am. And then we'll dive into the specifics around what you can expect in the future of Capital H. On the personal front, I'm the father of 2 daughters and 2 fur children, although one of my fur childs is now a centenarian in dog years. I live in Los Angeles with my family, but grew up living in multiple U.S. states and also spent 4 years living outside the U.S., which has helped shape my perspective as a global citizen. And it inspired me to raise my kids bilingual, so I only speak to my daughters in Spanish. I've worked at Deloitte for over 16 years, primarily serving clients in the technology industry across a wide range of human capital topics tied to business and HR function transformations, mergers, acquisitions, and divestitures. I'm currently the Chief Marketing Officer for our Deloitte US Human Capital practice and responsible for working with leaders like David and others to own our research, eminence, and marketing strategy to bring data-based insights to the market. And now for the fun part. To keep pace with the ever-changing podcast landscape and the future of our human capital practice, we're rolling out some big changes that David and I want to share with you all. All of the changes we're making have the singular goal of providing you, our listeners, with more value because human capital topics are C-suite and board of director topics. So it is imperative that leaders and workers have easier access to the research and insights across a wide range of areas. So David, what can we expect? What can our listeners expect for this season?
Sure. Well, off the top, look for more frequent episodes. We'll be shifting to a regular schedule, bi-weekly episodes dropping on predictable days. We'll be looking to engage with you, listener, on the issues on a more regular and at least closer to real-time basis.
Our next change has to do with the length of the episode. We're going to deliver more bite-sized chunks, around 20 to 25 minutes for easier listening and digesting of the latest insights and news.
And in those smaller bites, we're also going to be switching up some of the formats of the episodes. You can expect a mix of content, as always, some highlighted Deloitte research, real-world voices from leaders and organizations like yours, and periodic updates on the market of solution providers that lean into human capital needs. And on that last piece, we're excited that our colleague Franz Gilbert, who is Deloitte's Human Capital Ecosystems and Alliances leader, is going to be a regular guest on Capital H moving forward. You can expect Franz will always bring regular, insightful perspectives on all things HR technology.
Absolutely. And finally, you might have noticed, listener, that we have a new look and feel for Capital H. We thought, what better way to introduce a reimagined podcast with new imagery? So David, we've shared some big changes. Why don't we share a sneak peek at what episodes are to come for our listeners?
So the fall event season, the conference season, is coming up quite quickly. Deloitte's going to be at HR Tech, Gartner's Reimagine HR, Workday Rising, just to name a few. We're hoping to get some on-the-ground interviews with HR leaders to bring a flavor of these events to you here on the pod. And in general, we want to just bring more of your voices into this conversation.
Absolutely. Sharing more stories of what's happening in organizations to really help people see others that are in their shoes. And so in that regards, we're going to have some exciting topical episodes as well, where we hear from organizations that are exploring the impact of generative AI and automation on how work gets done across the organization. The evolution of workforce planning in an era where population growth has flattened or begun to decline in tandem with AI impacts in various geographies across the world. And ultimately, how technology and workforce trends influence the future of work, future of the workforce, and the future of the workplace. And so we're thrilled to have you all along for the journey and hope you enjoy the exciting episodes we have planned for you. Until then, happy listening.
Thanks, Kyle. That will do for today, listeners. I'm so very excited to share the new Capital H with you. Please do join us. And of course, don't forget to let us know what you think of Capital H. Rate us wherever you find your podcasts. Drop us a note on LinkedIn. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time. This podcast is produced by Deloitte. The views and opinions expressed by podcast speakers and guests are solely their own and do not reflect the opinions of Deloitte. This podcast provides general information only and is not intended to constitute advice or services of any kind. For additional information about Deloitte, please go to deloitte.com/about.